Alright there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Games Show, and I've got a little story for you. Now, recently, I, alongside the rest of the FGS team, took to the Golden Joysticks award show to interview amazing developers and talents from within the industry. We even made Aerith cry, which, made me feel awful. Roll the footage.
The fact that my work could have made someone's life a little bit brighter, that is everything to me. That makes all the hard times, all the hard things so much more worth it.
Yeah, like I say, don't feel great about that. But anyway, in between all of this, we caught up over dinner, and Josh, my all-time horror guy, pulled out a device from his pocket that caused me to age like Captain America at the end of the Avengers film there, because it was a Sony Ericsson phone that was actually stacked to the brim with video games. Now, first off, to those younglings at the back, haha, yes, we did use phones like this without touchscreens and high-definition graphics and without the ability to run like 10 videos of Subway Surfer simultaneously, and yeah, it kinda sucked for us, not gonna lie about that one there. But we weren't completely without fun, as with this amazing device and others like it, we could download awful MIDI-style ringtones that sounded like 70% like the song we actually wanted. We could take photos so resolution that each photo had to come with a 2-minute explanation about how the third pixel from the top left ended up becoming your new wife, and best of all, we got games. But not just any games, Java-powered licensed games. Now, these were rudimentary by today's standards, but revolutionary by older standards, and they spanned across all the biggest franchises, and they were right here in your pocket. And you know what? Some of them were absolutely brilliant to boot, and so by the bones of some long-forgotten slime-based messiah, I'm going to talk about them today in a special deep cut episode that is dedicated to the wild and weird world of Java mobile games. So let's kick things off by talking about a title that Josh demanded, nay ordered, nay actually politely suggested that I put into this episode, the Doom RPG. Now I know what you're all thinking right here. Hey now, whoa now, slow down there mate, squeeze me partner. What did you just say? Did you just usher in the absolute powerhouse that is Doom and then immediately slam the brakes on all this frantic action by adding RPG to the title? Well, you know what, mate? Don't put a skid mark in your smelly suit of power armor just yet, because this amazing Java-powered experience still has plenty of shooting and stomping. It's just slightly more tame. It's kind of less like, would you like some cocaine with your Red Bull, and more, would sir like some cocaine with their ankle injury? It's still hyper-violent, but the movement is now restricted to a grid system typical of old-school first-person RPGs. But does this stop the game from being one of the finest examples in the genre? Hell no. And how does the Doom Slayer respond to in the affirmative of where he'd like to kick the most ass? Hell yes. Plus, because it's taking a more considered approach, it means that the level design and the puzzles are a little more intricate than the adrenaline rush experience of the original PC game. Here you'll be putting out fires, carefully timing your shots to stay on top of relentless hordes of enemies, and as a true capper, you can even capture your own hellhound and put them to work for you rather than, how to put this delicately, yellering them hard. Yeah. So what more can I say? It's Doom done different, and that itself is delightfully devilish, Seymour. Plus, it runs slightly better than that version of Doom that's played on a calculator, so it's a winner all round. Now friends, as we all know, when riding a roller coaster, you've got to anticipate highs and indeed some crushing zero-G lows. And in this part of the video, we're ploughing the cart that we're riding in headlong into a horde of zombies and cackling all the way as we do so. What a truly horrifying image that was, but truly there is no better way to set that offbeat charm to one of my favourite zombie-centric video game franchises ever. Dead Rising, a one-stop shop of chop till you drop, but unfortunately ever since the mainline entry of number 3, it's been pretty much slop. It's the project that Capcom kept endlessly trying to tweak with, but never realised that they had perfected the formula with Dead Rising 2 off the record. I'm sorry everyone, it is the best. Hands down, it just is the best. And you're wrong if you think otherwise. I shouldn't be so confrontational, but you're wrong. However, I won't criticise Capcom too much for them trying, as it definitely led to tons of interesting, if rather half-baked ideas, and it also led to them creating some mobile games which sought to emulate the experience. Hell, there's even a lost mobile card game called Dead Rising: The Survivor, which sounds absolutely ace. Right up until you realise the game has absolutely zero footage on the internet and never looks to have ever seen the light of day, despite being quite far in development. There you go, that's a tiny little deep cut nugget within a deep cut episode. Completely unrelated, but that's just how my brain works. Cool, I love that for all of us, and I love that for us even more / less when it came to the Dead Rising mobile game for iPhone, which just stinks. It stinks. It stinks. It stinks. Yes, Mr. Gill, everything stinks. I mean, for a game about killing zombies, this iPhone port really did nail the brief. Wait, that's not right. What I meant to say is that it really did take a nail and drive it into its own feet, because this game feels like you're trying to pilot the Titanic after a few Jaeger bombs. The graphics are muddier than Derek the Dog Eater's alibi of why he has a piece of fur and a dog collar stuck in his teeth, and I don't think that I can point to an action game that incites this little joy. So I bet you're probably thinking, this doesn't bode well for the Java version, right? Surely it's got to be worse than this epic masterclass on much more superior hardware, right? Oh, you poor, poor, sweet, sexy fool. You think I'd do you like this? You think I'd stitch you up like a kipper after all we've been through? No, my friend, we are friends. And what's that? Do you hear that music growing and growing? No, that's not Doom, my friend. No. This is Dead Rising Java. Well, hot damn, my feet are now cold because my socks have just been blown right off. It has everything you'd want from an early mobile gaming experience. Action, violence, controls that kind of work considering that you're playing on a number pad, and a soundtrack that is so utterly banging that it's shot into my downloads to listen to again and again. Plus, what's truly hilarious is that this version of the game is mechanically superior to the iPhone port, in that, for a start, it actually follows the plot of the first fucking game, and also comes with boss battles which the supposedly more technically advanced iPhone game didn't. And it had quality of life features better than the original game, as here, when you completed missions, you were actually teleported back to the safe house, which cut down on travel time. And the game also auto-saved for you, which, remember, the original didn't. And also, Otis doesn't bend your ear every 3 seconds and chastise you for being chewed on and not listening to his war stories. So am I standing here today to tell you that Dead Rising Java is the best Dead Rising game ever made? No, sorry to mislead you, but I get this podium out of here. Who does that? But what I am trying to say is that this game kicks ass and is surprisingly impressive considering the hardware that it was working with. And speaking of hardware limitations limiting the play experience, let's talk about the absolute disaster that was The Witcher's foray into the world of Java games, and talk about Crimson Trail, a game so bad that the aforementioned blood breadcrumbs from the title are actually just the elongated rage shart that this game will force upon you with its woeful programming. What a cheerful image. Now, I won't lie to you. Upon booting up this game, I actually thought that Crimson Trail would be a pretty decent experience based on the rather luxurious graphics and textures. I mean, sure, Big G over here has got a bit of the old Dante from Devil May Cry redesign going on, and somebody is definitely going to have to book him in to sort out that scoliosis demon that's infesting his spine, but they do give off an air of the Castlevania, which I do admit is quite nice. Now, that comparison to Castlevania is the last time that I will be saying anything positive about this game, so buckle up, my friends. For a start, the game is hampered by the platform it's on entirely, as it doesn't allow for multiple button presses to register at the same time, meaning the platforming element of your game is curb-stomped entirely by being forced to jump up and forward at the same time. It kind of makes fights feel akin to early Virtua Fighter battles, where you just like moon jump over your opponent before landing next to them, just really awkward like, and then pausing for a second before you're ready to your next attack. Now, while the Witcher 3 main video game showcased balletic combat and magic use, Crimson Trail coughs and sneezes around in slideshow fashion and feels about as fun to play as counting a bag full of teeth while somebody yells different numbers in your ear every 3 seconds. And they're not even your teeth. Who would keep their own teeth in a bag anyway? Compounding this immediate disappointment is the fact that thanks to the play screen being in portrait mode, you'll never be able to see more than like 2 feet in front of you. And so moving between ledges and making jumps often feel like just massive leaps of faith. And worse still is that the game punishes you for making these jumps by either letting you fall to your death or landing right next to an enemy that skewers you instantly. Playing this game genuinely feels like a question of how much do you actually love The Witcher and how much do you actually care about your own mental well-being, as if you're a die-hard fan or anyone with something or anything better to do, then playing this should be the last thing you ever pick. And speaking of pick, let's travel to the nasal-based adventure that is called The Flowering Nose. And this is absolutely unhinged, my friends. So here's the thing, when it comes to The Flowering Nose, I'll level with you here. I have absolutely no idea what is going on in this game. Like I've played it, I've read the instructions, and I understand the mechanics of what I need to do, but I have absolutely no idea why I'm doing any of it. To better explain, or at least to try to do so to the best of my abilities, you play as the Flowering Nose, a weird superhero with a flower coming out of their nose. And it's your job to save the last sprout in each level and then use that sprout to open a door which leads to the next level. And sometimes there's slugs, and other times you'll need to go back through the levels in order to farm resources. And you can also throw flowers, which remember are embedded in your nose as well, at enemies to beat them. That's it. That's the most I can get from this game. And like I say, I've explained much more on what you do over why you're actually doing it. But somehow I'm okay with this. Like this is what The Flowering Nose in Slugland is. It's a game that goes its own pace and yet is so competent and well designed that it's actually thoroughly entertaining despite it being pretty simplistic. It gives me severe Toe Jam and Earl meets Bogeyman, whatever it was called vibes, and I am here for it, even if my brain has detached itself from my central nervous system as it was getting way too stressed out trying to figure this out. But you know what? Speaking of brains, let's go and munch on some now for our final game in today's video. Because here I really have saved what I believe to be the best for last, as not only is this next game a bona fide deep cut classic that you'll be clamoring to play in the current age, but it's also one that is so downright weird and full of self-aware parody that it is an absolute riot from start to finish. This, my friends, is Zombie Infection, a game that basically looked over at what Resident Evil was doing at the time and just said, zombies, eh? Terrible Resident Evil Java version, is it? Well, I perchance see a gap in the market. Yet before you think of this as some potentially lazy port of Capcom's greatest ideas and concepts, Zombie Infection hits you with an absolutely stunning art style, a tense shooting mechanic that forces players to focus if they want to nail perfect shots, and even item crafting and combination mechanics to boot. Oh, and you can also play the game as a camera woman known as Shauna Michaels and just like pretend that you're going around super kicking people all the time while telling them to suck it, and then apologising later on in your life because you found Jesus again, so only do that weird half chop thing that he does now. But to be honest, Shauna's unique mechanic is equally weird because she can actually just whip out a camera and record footage to sell as an exclusive later, meaning that you get that lovely Dead Rising-esque tonal whiplash of seeing an image of this just truly horrific, like, I don't know, like a couple dead in each other's arms, and then you get to put the footage in and then it just goes, boom, cash dollar bonus, bing, 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 bing. Love that. It's just like, wow, this is sad, but I'm in bank! And that's not the only weird thing you can do in this game, as there's plenty of secrets and bonuses to be found, one of which forces the zombies into an impromptu dance sequence. Roll the footage. Outside of these oddities, though, is a game that is as solid as it comes, mixing in horrific jump scares and brilliantly understated soundtrack, and carries a plot with so many twists and turns that the final reveal actually had me going, okay then, that was pretty damn good. Oh, and also the plot itself has different paths and endings, meaning you can end up with a different final boss to beat. Plus, you get to play as a character wielding a goddamn katana at points, which automatically should just put this game right up there in your must-play pile. And I forgot to talk about the other character, because there's 3 playable protagonists. He's basically just Barry Burton. And who doesn't want to be Barry Burton? Oh yeah, and also, one of the other characters, one of the main bad guys here, is called Rotwang. Rotwang. I mean, what are we in a Warhammer 40k Nurgle camp over here? Rotwang. I'm definitely using that for one of my characters going forward in my 40k games. That's too good. Not as good as the main bad guy from Psychic Force being called Keith, though. God. Ooh, sends shivers down my spine. Whew. Honestly, by this point I know that I shouldn't be writing off old Java games immediately, but this one is so much fun that I really think that this series should be rescued from its mobile-shaped prison. Hell, there's even a sequel out on the same mobile devices where the vibrancy and the violence is upped even more. So even if you do end up playing Zombie Infection and like it, there's actually at least a little bit of extra content for you. God bless you, Gameloft, for making these games, and God bless you, Java, for being just capable enough sometimes to run them. Yeah! And there we have it, my friends, the wild and weird world of Java mobile video games. Did you like what we had to talk about today? Let me know about it in the comment section below, and there are many, many other obscure, weird mobile titles like this, and if you want to see a deep dive into them again, I would gladly like that another trip round the sun. So let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on the social medias here, where it's just over at Blue Sky, at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. You can follow my lovely editor over Mark over on his social medias over here as well. But before I go, my friend, even though we discussed some wild and weird things, maybe we need to calm down just a little bit. Take a breather. Take 5 minutes, in fact, each and every day to just check in with yourself. Ask yourself those questions, those all-important ones of, am I okay? Do I need help with things? And you know what? It's okay to say, yes, I do need help with things, and no, I'm not okay. Just remember this, though. Friends, family, professionals in the support industry, people like this and more are out there to help you with these situations. They care about you and want you to do well. And I care about you as well, my friend. I want you to go out there and absolutely smash your life goals. But first, before you do all of that, just take 5 minutes, deep breathe, relax, and remember, it's going to be okay. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.